What they do, what it is. This is Orion, aka Brass Balls, another installment of Deep Dive Tape Stash. This is time for you to get your fucking Navy SEAL on. You gonna jump into the fucking ocean and fucking take a quick dive into some region where you're gonna have all sorts of bullets aiming at your brain. But before we do that, before you get into hostile territory, make sure you subscribe to Orion Hip Hop, the channel that gives you all of this hip hop good nuggets that you love. Like, share, repost, comment. Take a gander into some of my tracks too, please. You know what I'm saying? You know, I do music too. I don't just do this nerd critiquing that I always love doing. Enough about me. Let's get into this one. Get your platoon right. I got my guest here with me. He is one Lex, the one and only Lex. What they do, homie?
What's going on, Orion? Thank you for having me. And, brought you a couple of things that you enjoyed from this stuff that you love talking about, which we all love, hip-hop.
Let's pull the pin out the grenade and talk about Killarmy, Wu Renegades. This is a single off their debut album, Silent Weapons for Quiet Wars. The year is late 97, early 98 when this dropped. I got some memories about this particular cassingle, even though I don't have it in my colección. I knew somebody who did, and I'm gonna get into that. But tell me, can you recall how'd you get this in your collection?
This might be part of the many singles that I may have received or took from someone, because again, there's a lot of people that order music and I'm not sure why they order it, but they have it, so I take it. Of course, please and thank yous.
Yo, I'm gonna start watching you in my crib, dog. I'm gonna have to look at that box before you leave my crib. Hopefully you ain't take none of my shit, dog. I remember I was already a big Wu-TANG head at this time. And there was this girl, I want to say her name was Ingrid, and she lived in Hialeah Gardens, and she was having a quinceañera. And you know, the quinceañeras, you had to get people together to rehearse this choreography shit. I was a part of this fucking thing, and I remember being in her driveway with a bunch of other classmates rehearsing for her quinceañera with some fucking choreographer. But I remember my dog Joseph came through with this same cassingle, and I remember he was like, yo, you heard of these guys, Killarmy? They're a part of Wu-TANG. And I remember looking at it like, I want to steal it from you so bad, but you're my friend and I can't. But I remember us hearing it that day, and that was my introduction to Killarmy, but not really, because I remember hearing about Killarmy prior to that on early internet. This is like 56K dial-up, my dog Felipe's crib, and we found a website that had a bunch of obscure Wu-TANG stuff, and we were like, who's these guys, Killarmy? And I remember hearing Soldiers of Darkness on that website, and that was actually my introduction to Killarmy. But then Wu Renegades with my dog Joseph at Ingrid's quinceañera rehearsals, you know what I'm saying? Another thing about this era, when we're talking about Wu-TANG, Wu-TANG Forever had already came out. So everybody was like, yo, Wu-TANG is the shit. Like Wu Forever solidified Wu-TANG, and I remember Wu-TANG at that point being the shit to everybody, right? Is that 97 era. But then there was some missteps. And what should have happened is a Inspector Deck solo album release. But we didn't get that. Instead, we got Killarmy, we got the Killa Bees Swarm album, we got Capadonna the Pillage album, we got Killa Priest Heavy Mental, but no Inspector Deck solo album until 1999. And much respect to all of those groups I just named, but I'm just saying that was kind of a misstep in the Wu-TANG trajectory. And even when we finally got the Inspector Deck album, it wasn't fully RZA produced, and we kind of like saw some kinks in the armor of the Wu-TANG sound. That was the beginning of that. With Killarmy, it was one of the first offshoots. I know we talked about Gravediggers, but Gravediggers still had RZA in the group. This nobody from Wu-TANG was in Killarmy. This was truly a real offshoot from the Wu-TANG and the core members. The video for this had, you know, like a very much of the time. You got verses from Don Pacino, Killa Sin, Ninth Prince, and Beretta 9 on Wu Renegades. And and you got visuals as a who is who on this. What comes to mind when we talk about all this and shit in that era?
Well, I think that Killarmy had a big mission. It was almost like, Wu-TANG was the main one, and then they're like, okay, we're going to send out this next group that's going to take care of that section of the world type of thing. And they definitely did that because they had the whole camouflage feel, and obviously the Killarmy name. And that's exactly how they attacked. And then their lyrics were at a level that you have to keep playing back, because there was just stuff in there that I still don't understand how these young rappers had that mentality. I mean, it was out of this world.
And I'm glad you mentioned it, but 97, 98 fatigues,
yes,
as dressing apparel, just like fatigues in hip hop.
To this day.
And it really didn't matter what region you were from, because if you were like an East Coast hip hop lover, it's Boot Camp Click, Capone and Noriega, and Killarmy, and you're dressing in fatigues like there's a war going on outside. No man escaped from. And then also, but if you're from the South, you're listening to No Limit Soldiers. This is the same time. No Limit Soldiers. I thought I told you. This was all a thing. You know what I'm saying? So fatigues was like, it was common ground that you could be a down south hip hop lover or an East Coast hip hop lover and still sporting fatigues.
I love fatigues forever.
I love wearing fatigues myself, man. I remember there was a dope Army Plus store in Hialeah on 49th Street. That store always looked like they're about to go out of business. But 96 to 99, that guy must have been like, bro, thank God. Why are all these kids coming and buying extra baggy fatigues from me? Because that's where I bought my first pair of fatigues, is from that dude's store. I forgot the name of the store and everything. But also, I think going into what you were alluding to, with like why were these guys going so cryptic, so deep with their lyrics, and especially like Killarmy had a very much doomsday type feel to their vibe of their lyrics. And I think it was because Y2K was around the corner. The year 2000 was in our midst. Remember, like 90s albums, a lot of 90s albums, like the last song on the album would be the end of the world. Quite literally. Like First Platoon from Miami, very much fatigue wearing type dudes. The last song on their album is The End of the World. That's the name of the song. But a lot of albums ended with like, this is it, y'all. Like Busta Rhymes was always like, there's only 4 years left. You know, when disaster strikes, it's over. You know, Method Man, Tekal 2, Judgment Day was very much like Judgment Day. The end of it. That's it. So here it is.
As we do these dives and I'm listening to you speak about these things, it's crazy because these artists that were in their teenage years so aware of what was going on and putting it into their lyrics. Because you could be aware of something and then go make some hip-hop, poppity music that'll get everybody's attention. But these people, this is why the golden era is the golden era.
Yeah, I agree with you. And let's not slouch on the production. The Wu Renegades was produced by Fourth Disciple. He had a heavy hand with Killarmy, Silent Weapon for Quiet Wars. He sampled 2 classical songs, one from the 1800s and one from 1900. And it's masterful what he did. I'm pretty sure he got away with fair use, because these songs were over 100 years old by the time that he samples them for Killarmy. Quite masterful. Fourth Disciple, one of the greats. I also want to shout out my dude DJ XS. He wanted to rap over this Wu Renegades track, and we did so on the Plancha 12 mixtape. So if you listen to the Plancha 12 mixtape, the outro, me and DJ XS did our thing on the Wu Renegades beat, and I think we held our own. You know what I'm saying? This cassingle that you have, I am gonna say Priority Records and Wu-TANG Records. Shame on you. You released a cassingle that only has Wu Renegades. You didn't even give us an instrumental. You didn't give us a B-side exclusive track. You didn't give us a remix. In some pressings, they did have on the B-side Clash of the Titans, which is an incredible track off Silent Weapons for Quiet Wars. But the one you got only has Wu Renegades on side A and side B. And which leads me to think it was more of a promotional cassingle that was released. But still, you know, how dare you guys? How dare you guys? You know, you didn't give us more than that on a cassingle. Come on, bro. People were still spending money. But it is what it is. Shout out to Killarmy. They still doing their thing. They released an album. And, you know, recently, I would say within the last couple of years, they released an album. I was a fan of Killarmy's Silent Weapon for Quiet Wars. There was some things I felt they could have done differently to make it 5-micer. They have some missteps, but it is what it is. It's still worth a listen to all real hip-hop heads, and especially the Wu heads out there. Any last things you want to tell the people out there, Lex?
As far as Killarmy goes, it was definitely a group that you had to want to listen to them. You know, it was a different taste of music. It wasn't something you can listen to at a party, at a club. It was straight wartime with them, and they definitely carried that. And that's something that Wu-TANG as a whole, if they brought you an idea, they carried it all the way to the end. And Killarmy was just another branch of their entire army.
Yeah. Alright. With that said, Orion, aka Brass Ball, signing out. My dog.
One Lex only.
Let's go.